So, hello. Welcome to a recording of our episode 2 of our podcast. I will start right here in a moment and I'll start just my recording here. So, hello. Welcome to. I'll start my recording. Hello, Ari. So, my recording has started. Or do you want to see the intro again if you missed it? Should we roll it again? I think there were no people live right now, and there are like 5 people right now there. So if you guys want to see it, give a thumbs up and run into the chat. And I'll really you because it's pretty epic. And
We muted.
okay, so let's at least synchronize our audio.
Yeah, hold on. Let me know when you're recording. I'll
I'm recording.
Okay, hold on. Let me
I
open
think some
up
people want to see it
another
again, so let's just roll it again.
document.
Then we have some more time. Right back, and you should hear us again. Actually, the intro is still rolling there. So yeah, hope you like the intro. Yeah, we'll just. I'll give you some views of my how I'm gonna set this up. Let me just give you a view of the Discord server. That's the best thing I can give you right now. Oh no, I have to look at it. Okay, never mind. I'll give you my audio. Should I give you my audio?
A little high on bass right now.
I mean, what's oil play KXP?
A little high on.
Okay, no. I'll just give you this one here. In podcast episodes, not that much. Probably, you guys will probably listen a lot, not watch that much, but yes. So yeah, let me just put a picture in there. So why don't we just synchronize our audio?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. All right. My recording is running. Okay, so let's synchronize in 3, 2, 1.
I think that it was a little bit delayed.
Should be fine.
Okay. Like I think you was half a second late.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. So I think I'm pretty much ready to go. Just let me know when the people can hear me.
They can actually hear all
Oh,
the
okay. Hi guys. So we'll start right away, but we'll have to sort a couple of things out. Yeah, it's a little bit messy, but it's the first time
that's
we're recording live,
that's
so
podcast recording. We need some.
yeah, we need some time to get into the vibe and stuff
It's
and
looking
to
cool.
arrange everything because this is actually the first time we're recording live on YouTube. So yeah, just give us a couple of minutes and we'll be ready. Well, minutes is a bit too far-fetched, but yeah, Marlon is just getting the screen for you guys ready, and I'll do something in the background. So see you in a few. Okay, so double check the recording.
So can you guys hear us? Give us a 5 by 5 in chat.
Give us a five by
Give
five
us a
in chat
five
if you
by
can
five
hear
in
us.
chat if you can hear us.
Okay.
So yeah, 5 by 5. If you can hear us. When the delay is so huge.
Yeah. Remember, just put on double time.
Yes. Still no answer. Maybe I
Is
like,
the delay really that big?
or I just don't want to type in chat.
Oh,
Oh, we got
all
a
right.
5 by 5 from
Ari.
Ari.
All right.
So
Thanks, bro. All right.
wait,
So I'm pretty much ready to go.
let me just do something. That's better now. Ari, write something in chat. I did something.
Okay. So you guys in chat, don't take it personally if we don't or not or we don't interact with you as much as we'd like to in the regular live stream. It's just because
Why
we want
not?
to
Like,
talk and
wouldn't like say, okay, yeah, in the chat there is something, we pick it up and just
right.
act like
So
this information is coming from us. Like, you can give us some input. It's
sure,
definitely
but
useful,
don't
but
expect it to be like a live stream or anything. We want
yes.
this to be a
But
podcast
maybe do like a
specifically.
few round, like 25 seconds. Oh yeah, you're a moderator now. Oh, Ari is our first moderator in
Ooh,
channel.
nice. Okay, so please be aware that this is going to be a recording session for a podcast, so don't expect lots of interaction with you guys like we would in a live stream. Okay, I think I'm pretty much ready to go. Um, should I just start talking for the intro, or just as last time?
Yeah, I would say yes. But this time, please call me Marlon podcast.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Or do you want to synchronize one? Last, like, there's like some.
yeah, maybe do you have a equalizer or a mesh port or something?
Yeah, I have
Maybe
mesh.
take out
Mesh
a little
put.
bit more, take a little bit bass out. It's
Yeah.
sometimes a bit
Okay.
bassy. Yeah,
Now better.
yeah, it's a little more. Like put some back
Now,
in.
like this.
No,
Oh, you
talk.
mean back like this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
That
this.
sounds good. All
Okay.
right. So, um, so you guys
Hello,
ready? All right.
Hier shot also. That's sounds. Okay.
Okay.
Do
Let's do
you want
this.
to synchronize again?
Yeah, let's do it one more time,
Okay.
just to be safe. All right.
Yeah.
So, 3, 2, 1. Should be fine.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Weekly Spaceflight. This is the great show with Marlon.
Hello. Yeah. In today's show, we'll talk about a few things. We had a beautiful launch this morning, which we live stream as well on our YouTube channel. Of AskXM 8. It was a successful launch. We'll talk about that a little more and what Sirius XM is and what those satellites offer. As well, we'll talk
Yes.
about Sirius 22 and what the few experience and cargo is on board. And yeah,
So, and as well as a couple of days back, we had the Falcon 9 birthday or the maiden flight in 2010. So we'll
Yes.
just talk about a bit
Happy birthday, Falcon
about
9.
right, happy birthday, and we'll just talk about what the Falcon 9 does, what it means, and stuff. Yeah, so I hope that you'll have fun, and yeah, let's just start with SXM-8. So SXM-8 is a regular customer payload that was carried out by Falcon 9 earlier this morning, actually. And the SXM satellite series is actually a radio satellite series for the radio company uh, called SXM. I'm sorry. And so they are going. The satellite will go into a geostationary orbit, or I think it is already. And
Yeah, should be
yeah,
by now.
so yeah, so the second stage boosted the apogee of the satellite into the geostationary transfer orbit height, and the satellite will do the rest. And yeah, so it was a pretty standard mission. We actually haven't seen a regular customer payload like this in a while. So of course we had
Yeah, we had a lot of
CRS-22, but
Starlink
that
launches.
yeah,
Yeah, like was
this year was
like we had at Tricksat 5A was the first mission this year, and I think we had
yeah,
Transporter 2, Transporter 1, of course. We had only had one
yeah,
Transporter.
but
Then
that's
there
not like a regular
was,
customer mission.
yeah, I would say it's a customer mission,
Yeah, well, but
like
Turksat
maybe
5
maybe not
was a
Transporter,
regular
but
customer mission. Yeah,
maybe not Transporter, but
so
yeah, Turks definitely. And there were, and no, the NRO launch was last year actually.
yeah, that
I
was
don't
the
think there were
last launch last year.
that many launches this year that were not Starlink launches.
No, we had a lot of Starlink launches,
Of course, we
and
had
there
the
are many more to
Dragon
come.
launches, but like
Yeah,
really,
right. The cruise.
like really commercial payloads. There were not a lot. They were just like NASA missions. I think
Mm,
Sentinel-6 this year from
no, it
Vandenberg.
was last year.
Was last year already. Okay, that
Yeah,
feels like it was yesterday. Yeah,
yeah,
there's not much that happened this year other than Starlink missions, which I have to say, have to admit, I think they're pretty boring by now. Like I like to watch them, but it's like there's always the same thing happens, and yeah,
yeah. I really understand what you're going at. So it's basically just they're sending another batch of 60 satellites up. It's no big deal. But yeah, so every time they send those Starlink missions, they expand their constellation, which is awesome for them and for every people who don't have good internet access at their homes. And yeah, so SXM-8 was actually a pretty big satellite, and it was there to, or it was made to replace I think it was SXM-3.
yes,
Was it 3?
SXM3, which was I think in service for 15 years or so, was had a
Yeah.
long service time, and SXM8 is also expected to last around 15 years, 15 to 20 years. So yeah, SiriusXM is an American company actually. I'm not sure, but I think they offer worldwide radio. So they offer radio. They have a lot of different genres, and they have sports, and they have everything. They have like every US sport they broadcast there. And yes, they're in the business for pretty long, and
Yeah, and they actually had a lot of satellites already. They
yes,
had the FM series, I think. There were about 6 satellites, and they were all launched on Proton rockets by Roscosmos. And I think they started launching them in 2000 and stopped launching them in 2013, if I'm correct. But yeah, so they're just continuing to grow their satellite constellation. And actually, there was the SXM-7 launch last year, I think it was. So it was basically just the
Yes, it
same, but
was. No, it was
unfortunately,
this year, I think.
was this year?
I'm not sure, but
Huh.
I think it was actually this year.
So yeah, we can check that sim right now, and so no, SXM was the second last mission of 2020 for SpaceX.
So, oh,
So there was
okay.
NROL 108, and that was
Yes,
the last
Enroll
one.
18.
So, but unfortunately, SXM published soon after that they lost the satellite. I'm not sure why,
I think it was just
but
electronical issues. The satellite didn't work. They had no communications. They couldn't control the satellite anymore and gave no frequency, no radio. It just didn't work. The satellite.
so it basically broke. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's very unfortunate because those satellites are probably very expensive. And
Yeah, they're
so they
pretty
were
high
actually
tech.
built by, yeah, so they were built by a third-party company. I'm not sure which one, but there are those certain companies that are building satellites for other companies for them to use. So
It was built by
SXM,
Maxa,
if
right? Yeah, Maxa,
yes,
Maxa.
so SXM went to Maxwell and asked, "Hey, we want to have those satellites in geostationary orbit, and they're there for radio communication. What can you do about it?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna do that for you." And then they form a contract and stuff, and then SXM is just using them, but they're not actually in the space business involved. So
So
they
yeah,
know
they're
how they
just
work, probably.
they
They
developed them,
know,
but they were built by Maxa. So the
right.
Maxa gave them the technology to survive like orbit and solar radiation and all that stuff. And yeah,
Right. So, and now they're using those for their for their radio shows, and I think that's actually pretty cool. That's something we haven't seen really often. Um, well, it is there, and you always have the capability of just buying your satellites somewhere else. But feel like they were that capability, that market wasn't that widely used. And yeah, so, and it was actually manufactured by Boeing, the satellites,
yeah.
turns out. Yeah, well.
So and why
So,
don't we just talk about CRS-2?
sure.
Let's
Do you
just
want to kick us off?
let's just do a small cut in the podcast because I wanted to tell you something.
Okay,
Like
sure
I already
thing.
mentioned in a small thing that we could talk about the upcoming events and launches. Like maybe at the
Oh,
end of the
yeah.
podcast. Like maybe we'll do a
Yeah,
small,
let's do that.
okay. Then let's
Okay,
just
yeah.
continue.
All
Let's
right,
just continue with
go.
CS22.
So, Cirrus 22 was the latest commercial resupply mission that was carried out by SpaceX. Um, so was just the Cargo Dragon, the new Cargo Dragon
So yeah,
version.
it was the 22nd commercial resupply mission for SpaceX and the second of the second contract of the second round of the contracts, and so also the second mission of Dragon 2, of Cargo Dragon 2 to the ISS. The previous CRS missions were flown on Dragon 1. We all know it. The one that was birthed by the Canadarm to the station, and so it couldn't automatically dock. And now it's kind of the same as Crew Dragon. It's having the same docking techniques, same docking mechanism, pretty much the same, just that it doesn't have abort systems. And I'm not even sure if it. I think it doesn't even have live support systems on board.
So, I think it does to some extent. Of course, it doesn't have
Yeah, like
the
air and
like
that stuff,
toilet
like
and stuff.
pressurization and that stuff. But
Right. And
yes,
probably air conditioning and
maybe they keep the air pressure a little bit lower than when cruise on board. Maybe.
well, I have no idea actually.
Yeah.
So they still pressurize the capsule. So as far as I understood, the capsule is actually pretty much the same. There's just a couple of vital things
So yeah, it's
missing
like the
that would be
same.
necessary for crewed spaceflight.
Yeah, the pressure module is same, just the cover on the outside there are no windows in the cover. There in thermal installations, in thermal insulation blankets, there are no no openings for the windows, and the
Right.
Super Draco mounts or shrouds are covered because there are no Super Dracos, because we don't need an abort system for cargo, and it's just unnecessary weight which could be used in cargo. And I mean, yeah, the Dracos are pretty heavy. I mean, engines are always heavy, and so you can have a lot of things, maybe more inside or a lot of weight. And so let's just come to the trunk. What was in the trunk this mission?
Nice transition, by the way. Well, so we had an interesting payload in the trunk. So, just for you that may don't know, the trunk is basically an addition to the capsule, and that is not pressurized. So, there are some harder, more robust payloads in there. For example, solar panels. So, the Dragon carried out two
Yeah,
new
so
rollout solar
it's actually a
panels.
pretty smart way of using the solar panels. So they have the trunk halfly covered in solar panels, and the other half is covered in radiators. So you want this solar panels to face the sun to generate power, and you want the radiators not to face the sun, because you want to get the air out and want to cool down with the radiators. And so it's pretty smart to have like them on opposite sides. So you're facing with the sun, so you're facing with the solar rays, you're facing the sun, and so of course the opposite side with the radiators doesn't face the sun. You can get effective and efficient cooling.
Right. So we didn't have that for the first version of Dragon. So we had
Like we
those
had those
fold
unfolding,
out
yeah, and there was,
solar panels.
I'm not sure if there were small radiators on board. Yeah, have to
Probably,
be,
probably.
like maybe in the trunk on the
Yes.
outside or so. But
So, and then they decided that they don't need as much or as much power generation, so they opted for the smaller uh, surface area of solar panels on the trunk.
since they're
And
pretty powerful actually, solar panels, yeah.
yeah,
And they had a
so
lot
I
of upgrades recently from the DM2 mission. They were pretty weak, the solar panels, and were also only meant to work for like a month or so. Now they of course have to work longer, because we are now in regular crew missions, and they have to work they have to work longer because the duration of them are around 6 months. And as well, there were also upgrades to the heat shield. I'm not sure if there were upgrades with this Dragon, but there were definitely upgrades after the DM2 mission. So yeah, the Dragon got updated a few things after the DM2 mission, so it's not like it was a finished product there. Just got a few things upgraded, and that's why we do those demo missions, to find things we still can upgrade. You saw it, we got teacher upgrades, and they also changed things in the barometers to get better understanding of the height of the Dragon for the parachute deploy.
right. And so this may sound like that the DM2 mission wasn't safe. It clearly was.
Yes.
That's it was clearly safe. It was just upgrades. So they realized during the DM2 mission that they might need to change that in order to make it even more safe, but it was still safe. So yeah, that's sometimes a concern for non-space nerds, that those rockets aren't safe, and they clearly are. That's otherwise they wouldn't be used for human transportation.
Yeah, NASA.
But
You have to really say it. NASA's really careful with their astronauts and
that's
with
right.
their missions. So everything at NASA, the NASA missions, you can really be sure that they will work, because NASA they really check everything until you can, and they check everything into the smallest details. And I'm really confident with every NASA mission that it will go right. Like I don't even think about, yeah, maybe if the Perseverance landing maybe it will fail, but I was from the beginning like it will 99% land, because this is NASA mission. NASA is so
Yeah.
precise with their missions, and so careful. They will nail it. And you see it with SLS, it takes long because they really take care about the safety of this vehicle. And in SLS is already human rated, so
Yeah. Even though it never flew, they don't have flight data on it. It is already um yeah, okay for human space travel. So, but they
yeah, because
still
like
are gonna
the single
perform.
paths were tested a lot. And
Yeah.
I mean it's
So
basically like a space shuttle. just without a space
And
shuttle.
they still do an uncrewed test mission
Yes,
around the
but
moon,
like there were actual
just to
plans to send
really make
astronauts.
sure
Yeah,
that everything works and everything will be fine for humans to eventually go back to the moon after over 50 years.
yeah,
But
there actually were plans to send astronauts on the first
yeah,
mission, but
right. So
then
actually they wanted to send them right away, but then they said, well,
maybe it's
let's
not
test
that
this.
good of an idea.
Yeah, let's test it one more time, just because even if they aborted, it always is like, yeah, well, abort systems are great and all, the astronauts
I
are going to
mean,
be
if they
safe, but
would abort,
the
that's
the
like
board
still
the
bad for
board
NASA
is
because
so
that
violent.
the
It is actually expected to that the astronauts are getting injured because of the board, because they sometimes pull up to 15 to 20 Gs for a short amount of time. So it's usually around 12 to 15 for a couple of seconds,
like the
but
Soyuz
the
abort a
initial
few
force, yeah.
years ago didn't look that rough. Well, it was rougher, but that
Yeah,
didn't
but
look.
it also wasn't the actual abort tower,
Yeah, it was
the
like
big
the
abort
small
system.
process
It
because
was
they
the
were.
after
Yes, there
stage
was
separation.
was a fairing. That they're like the Soyuz
Yeah,
system is like a double system. There's the launch aboard tower, and then there are solid rocket motors on the
backups.
fairing. That's protecting
Right.
the Soyuz spacecraft, and
So
that
they
were the
just
ones.
jettisoned the tower a couple of seconds
So yeah,
before the
stage.
rocket decided to abort. And and I think there was no injuries there,
No.
but it was really close. So
Yeah,
you can
almost.
so 15 Gs is usually the force. It's not comparable. You know, you usually black out at so the standard person blacks out at I think about 5 or 6 Gs for a couple of seconds. That's the maximum. So the peak forces are are uncomfortable, but the human can go higher than that. But 15 for a couple of seconds is hard. It's so incredibly violent, and when boards are triggered, it's basically guaranteed that you'll get an injury at some point during the board. And yeah, but it's still better than dying. That's why they put in
Yeah,
the board.
definitely. Like Arnold was
So
saying ahead of the launch, yeah, like an abort would hurt me. So if something goes
yeah,
wrong, don't abort. I'd rather die. I don't
yeah,
think
that
anyone would say that. So
no one would say that, and
yes,
it's actually expected for them, or they have to take into account that they might not be able to walk, so that because they're so heavily the body is put through so much violence
like
and
it's
force
really
that's
that
just
high. So what do you mean with
so
not to
it's
walk? Like permanent
so
or
it's not just a broken arm. They might have to sit in a wheelchair for the rest of their
really?
lives because the body, yeah, it's so violent, because it's not the force itself, because it's shaking and it's still very uncontrolled, and they might hit their head or something, or the body gets smashed or something with something loose. So it's actually very, very dangerous to abort, but it's safe and you won't die. Probably.
Like I said, yeah, it's very dangerous, but it's safe.
Yeah, so
Very
yeah,
dangerous.
it's a mixed message, but it's that injuries are very likely to occur, but you probably won't die.
I mean, like the wait. I like the. Okay, we cut this out.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
like the decided or the effects of an abort are like much better than like you would rather have abort and die. Yeah, I think you can cut that
Yeah.
out as well. So we'll fill
And
it in the
we have
cutting.
seen the safety precautions of NASA, because they actually, in the Constellation program that was before Artemis, they
Oh,
had the idea
would love the
of,
constellation program,
yeah, it would have been
but
awesome.
like Board System and Ares One were
Yeah.
not the best friends.
So yeah, that was actually what I wanted to go at. So
So
the
go
Ares
ahead.
1X was actually their
Very cool
idea
rocket.
of crew transportation. So you basically have to think of the Ares 1X as just one shuttle side booster. stretched out, just like
Like
for
an SLS
SLS,
booster.
and then right, like an SLS booster, but no nose cone. Instead, it
Was the center core and
opens
main
up.
stage.
It gets bigger, and
Like
on top there's an
what was the
Orion.
upper stage of the Ares one?
Uh,
Was that an RL10 like in Centaur?
yeah, I think it was.
Infinite wasn't
I
normal Atlas
think it
Centaur,
was.
right? Like
No,
this
it wasn't in Centaur, but it was something flight proven. I'm not sure which upper stage it was,
let
but
me
it
just
was
look it.
something flight proven. So, and the Ares 1X had one launch, and it was just a test with a dummy upper stage, with a dummy fifth segment of the booster.
Yeah,
And
dummy
so it
Orion.
launched, it had Miko. It's weird because it's just one solid rocket booster, so I feel like Miko is it's the wrong word. But so they had Miko, they had stage separation, and then they just dropped into the ocean. So that was the mission, and this is exactly what happened. And then they realized, they looked at the cost, and the cost of the single launch was $475 million.
Oh, it was actually in J2 engine.
It was a J2.
Yeah, they want to use in J2.
Interesting.
That would have been awesome. Like to
Yeah.
see Apollo hardware fly again. That would have been cool.
Yeah. So again, the launch cost of that single, not even orbital launch, was $475 million. That is as much as a shuttle launch. So,
Wasn't
and
it
then they
like
realized,
more
yeah,
like 2 billion or so? The
no,
launcher more expensive.
it was just the launch cost. The assembly of the rocket and stuff, and the development didn't go into that. It's just the launch cost.
Okay, yeah, shuttle costed
So
576 or 1.6 billion. Like
yeah, it's
between that
yeah, it's
varies
really
from
depending on the mission,
yes.
but still, that's $500 million for just the launch. And then
I
they
think
realized, yeah, well, that's
I mean
way,
like
way,
if Jeff
way too
Bezos
expensive.
would fund this, it'd be nothing. Like half a billion
Yeah,
for Jeff Bezos, like he
sure,
owns that in a day.
go
So
ahead, do whatever you want.
launching
But
errors,
still,
launching errors a day keeps the doctor away.
so and
Oh yeah, I have it.
and
Launching errors a day keeps the SLS away.
yeah, that was actually the idea behind the Ares one. So
Yes.
and the problem with the Ares one was that they realized that it is super, super unsafe for human travel. So they have a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is very, very unsafe and not human rated at all, and 5 is the most safe, the safest vehicle ever, basically, which never was achieved, not even SLS. So an Ares 1 was, I think, 1.8. So yeah, very, very unsafe
Like you couldn't
because
abort
of
in a
the
lot of situations because of the SRB. If you would
yeah,
have aborted, the SRB would have exploded and all the debris. Like an SRB explosion is massive. I mean, look at Delta 2.
yeah. Or
Look at the Delta.
even if it
Yo,
didn't
what
explode,
Challenger.
the
It would be too. The
the
SRB plume could have burned the chutes, and
yeah, right,
so
and
the
then you would just free fall.
so you didn't have a lot of options,
So there
to
are
abort
black
in your
zones.
trajectory. Like there were a lot of zones where you couldn't abort. There were only a few phases in the trajectory where you could abort. So it was really unsafe.
Yeah.
You
So
couldn't
there
often abort.
usually there's a chart for the different abort scenarios, and after that you decide whether you can abort or you can't. And there are those black zones where an abort is almost certain death. So, and usually you have very, very brief and very, very small black areas where it's unsafe to abort, and those are just splits of a second. So, and Ares 1 almost had none white spaces, so it was so unsafe to board
But it was
that
a cool rocket.
it was a cool rocket. Yeah, it looked awesome.
Yeah,
I really
it
liked
was
the
really
Ares 1.
cool. Like I don't know, a lot
Yeah.
of people are hating it, like it was ugly, but I think it was looked pretty cool. Like
Yeah,
also
I
the
mean,
fact
I
that they
liked it.
launched from the mobile launch of the shuttle, they just could use this mobile launcher for the Ares one. It
Yeah,
was
so the Ares 1 had to launch from the shuttle
mobile launcher because it was still in the shuttle days. It was 2009, and the shuttle was there for until 2011. And so they had the hardware there, and so they, since there was only a single shuttle booster, they just stacked it on one spot of the solid rocket booster holdings, and then they just launched it. So yeah, the rollout looked pretty funny, very weird. So this is easily one of the most Kerbal looking rockets I've ever.
Yes.
I mean, this is something I would whip up in Kerbal in seconds just to get Kerbals into orbit or something.
Yes.
But I kind of miss those fancy, wild NASA days because this is not even
Yeah.
an idea anymore. Yeah, we're gonna do SLS and that's it. There's no
The
way we could
constellation
do
was cool.
this or right. Constellation was still a
I mean, we're going to
wild,
Venus now, so
fancy thing.
I mean,
Yeah,
Peter Beck is pretty happy right now.
that's true. NASA's going back to Venus.
I'm
I'm not
really looking
prepared for
forward
that
to
topic,
that.
so I've
Yeah,
not much to add
that's a
there.
topic we'll talk about in the next episode.
That's
Let's
right.
just say like that.
I will
That's something for the
do.
next episode.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about that next week, but right now the news came a couple of days ago, and I
Get
just had
some more
nothing to
information
inform you
together for next
properly.
episode and prepare something and
Yeah,
then
so you can you will be hyped for that. So, should we move over to Starship or stay at Falcon 9?
I mean like Starship that didn't much. Let's just talk about what happened in space this week. Like what happened this week in space. So I think that's a cool thing we could talk about more often in
Yes, so
our podcast. So
we had
let me
we had
just
SXM.
list up
We had
all the
all
launches.
right,
So
sure.
we had
Go ahead.
launches. We had in the last week. We had like I would count this one. It was
Just
4 launches. So we had the Long March 7 launching a Tianzu 2. That was the cargo resupply. What's resupply? The cargo supply for the Tianhe.
cargo supply.
Yeah, the cargo supply for the Tianhe 1 station, the first station of China. And then we had Fingen 4B. I think those were the weather satellites for China that launched on a Long March 3B. It was also a successful launch. And then we had a CRS-22. We talked about that. It was, of course, a Falcon 9 Block 5 launch from LC-39A. It landed on, of course, Laview, and it actually came back to the port. As yesterday it was a little bit tipping. It was at an angle, so rough landing, rough seas. And then we had today, this early morning, we had SXM-8 launch, of course, on the Falcon 9 Block 5, landed on GRTI, and launched from Slake 40. Like, and let's talk about events that happened. Let's talk about what happens this next week. So we actually already have 2 EVAs planned. So it's on June 16th. So it's actually weeks, but let's just list them up because nothing happens next week. Like we have the US EVA 74 and the EVA 75. They will place the new solar arrays that were carried on CRS-22. Then on Sunday, at the June 27th, we will have Cygnus NG-15 release. So the Cygnus spacecraft, also a resupply vehicle, will be undocking from the station, will be released, and then will deorbit and burn up. Then we'll have Progress MS-17 docking, but that's the future. Like things we don't have a date right now is for the Dragon undocking, like CRS-22. It should occur in July, so we will still have some time. And of course, the whole Russian module reassembly will be there as well. And let's take a look at launches next week. There will be a really exciting launch that I'm really looking forward to, and we'll hopefully get a webcast for it on June 13th. It's Launcher 1. Launcher 1's launch again, and it's a pretty big rocket. There are a few customers. Let me just get into the details here. We have STP, like from the Air Force and the Department of Defense. Those are 11 small sets, 11 payloads for this customer. 11. Then there's one payload for the Netherlands Air Force. Then there are 2 payloads for company I don't know, for the Stork constellation. Those are 2 satellites, Stork 4 and 5. And yeah, it will be launching, of course, on Cosmic Girl. There's 747 of Virgin Orbit. And the Cosmic Go will take off in Mojave Air and Spaceport in California. And yeah, the other launches will be the NRL 111. It will be an exciting time. It will, I'm not sure, but it's a Monitor 1 launch. A Monitor 1 launch like for 14 years. Did launch for 14 years, so it's the first launch for Monitor 1 in 14 years or so. It's so pretty cool that we see this rocket again. Then we'll have Falcon 9 Block 5 launching GPS 3.5, so for the Space Force. And then we'll, in the future, it's still pretty far ahead. Oh, actually not. That's also on June 17th, on the same date as the GPS launch, which will of course be covered here on the channel. Yeah, it's the Long March Shenzhou 12. So we'll see astronauts or taikonauts launching to the Tianhe 1 station. That's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to watch this one. So a human launch of 2 to 3 taikonauts. We don't know it yet how many, but yeah, there will be the first astronauts to the station. Pretty exciting.
Great. Thank you for the update. I'll write everything down in the description because that was quite the list. So
or
you
you
can
just
read
look
it
at
afterwards.
weeklyspaceflight.com. We have listed all the
Or you
upcoming
can-
launches there.
Right.
We have all the upcoming launches, we have news for you there, and we have articles. The first one will come up soon. It's about Starlink. Big excited for that one. I'm working on with the writer. We will release it maybe today or maybe tomorrow. Look, but yeah, be aware of this one coming up. So
Right. So just check out weeklyspaceflight.com to look everything up Marlon just talked about, and I will also put it in the description so you can read it afterwards. Great. So should we talk about the FCC orbital flight plan? We kind of forgot last week,
yeah, maybe we'll talk.
but
We should, yeah. Let's just talk about it. So
right.
actually can describe the flight plan a little bit. So should I just start? Like I can tell
I mean,
where
yeah,
it's
sure.
going over.
Go ahead.
And then we'll just
Yeah.
talk about how we
I can
think
go
it's
into
gonna
a little
occur.
bit more detail because I
So yeah,
wrote
it will-
everything down.
Yeah, I also have some source here. So it will start, of course, at Boca Chica. Then we'll go at a roughly. It's definitely a prograde orbit. It's pretty low inclination orbit, and yeah, it's going straight through Florida and through over the Caribbean, like on the tip of Florida. It's going past there. Then we'll splash down actually in Hawaii, so it won't do in complete orbit. So we don't actually know it yet. Is SN20 or yeah, probably SN20 will go into orbit, or if it will be in suborbital trip.
Right. So this document actually came out quite a while ago, and it is from the FCC, and they basically released the very first flight plan for the very first orbital flight attempt of Starship. So this will, of course, require a super heavy booster, and
It is like an exciting time to come up. So we have had all
Right.
the suborbital flights now. Those for launch, yeah, five
For landing.
launches. Those
Oh.
5 launches were always those exciting times where you always waited for hours and looked, testing, satisfies, and that was like on a hold in the last time, but that will start again with booster testing and Starship SN20 testing. So I would guess that Starship SN20 will be loaded on a test stand for static fires, and then BN2, we're calling it now BN2. Don't like it that much, but yes, we call it because it's a mix of BN2 and BN3.
Did he
So-
say booster 2?
Okay, that's just
I think
yeah.
he said booster 2, but it's
But it's-
technically BN3.
No, it's actually BN2 free, so it's half BN2, half BN, like mixed
Wow,
things.
that's just all right. So just a
yeah.
booster and SN20.
So the second booster to be the second full scale booster to be built.
Right.
That
So-
will probably go into the orbital test stand or maybe on a suborbital, but I don't think.
No, I don't think.
But
they
it
would
definitely will
bother with that.
undergo engine testing as well before being integrated with Starship. And yeah, what do you think? Will there be a payload? Will there be a dehinge? Or will there...
No,
won't do it.
they.
Probably
I'm
not.
very sure there won't be any hinge system or something. It's just the Starship we know already, just with a lot more TPS tiles. I
Yes, just
think it
TPS. So I'm really excited to
also
see the first
already
nose cone in TPS. Actually,
right, right.
I think like those are the
So
most
because
challenging parts where you have those the
so
tip.
let me just talk you through the proposed flight plan. So, of course, it will lift off in Boca Chica. So, Starship SN20 atop of a booster will, of course, launch and then pitch downrange, and it'll actually take a fairly steep trajectory, and then 169 seconds into flight, it will have MECO, so main engine cutoff, and shortly after, it will have stage separation. So the two vehicles split apart and they basically go their separate ways. So SES, so second stage ignition, occurs right after stage separation. So the Starship continues onto orbit, and the booster will actually perform something else, and it will do an RTSL,
So
a
not
return to launch
quite
site
like
style landing.
like yeah style. So it will probably be like doing. Wait,
So
let me just figure out a B BBLT boost back landing attempt. No, that's actually BBLA. It's BBLA
so
boost
it will
back
boost
landing
back.
attempt.
It will
Or
boost
back
back, and it
splashdown.
will splash or touchdown. We don't
Like
know
splash, like touch splash touch.
Right.
Like it's
About
landing in water.
approximately 20 miles offshore. So now I am wondering if they will try to, if there will be any means of reusing or recovering it at least, because
Like
we've seen this
recovering,
with
yes,
Falcon
like
9.
getting the hardware, but I don't think can be reused. And
No,
also,
reusing
and I
definitely
also
not. If
would
they
now
splash
at this
down.
point say rest in peace to the Raptors, because I don't think they will survive salt water.
No, they won't.
And
Probably.
like I don't know why
So-
they're going for that. Of course, for safety, I know, but why are they not even
but
trying
Elon
to
said
do a
that they
drone
can-
ship there? Because those are 28 Raptors. I mean, yeah,
but
sure they're getting
Elon
up,
said they can pump out a Raptor every 2
but
days.
but
Was it?
still 28 Raptors. Like
Yeah.
let's say
So
like
I mean,
28.
that's a lot of money and a lot of Raptors just going into the
Like,
water.
what is Starship? Starship
but
is 6 and
yeah,
the booster is
still.
28, so that would be 34. And suit would be
But so the document is pretty clear
6
about
to
what
8
the
days
Starship
for
will
the
do.
Raptors.
Yeah. But so the document is pretty clear on where the Starship is going to end up, but I'll get to that in a
Yes.
moment. Just the booster will boost itself back, and it will end up 20 miles offshore. That's at least what the document said. So the document isn't clear on how or what is going to happen with the booster. Presumably, they just touch it down and it'll tip over, just like we saw with the early Falcon 9 landing attempts, where they just boosted it back to the shore and softly touched it down on or in the ocean, and it just tipped over and sometimes broke and sometimes survived. It changed. So and they can pick it up or tow it back or something, just to get the debris mostly cleared. And yeah, that's so much for the booster. So, but now the Starship will boost itself further into orbit. But unfortunately, or no, not unfortunately, but it won't reach a full orbit. So it will be pretty close to an orbit, from the trajectory, but it won't complete a single orbit. So it will splash down. This is what the document clearly states. It will splash down around an Hawaiian island, so
Yes.
way
Just
offshore,
north of Hawaii.
of course. But yeah, so it will splash down, so it won't reach Boca Chica again, which technically isn't an orbital attempt, but it's
There's
still
like
technically
it's like
is.
mixed. It could be an orbital
Yeah,
attempt, but they go in orbit and then
it's hard to describe.
deorbit. That they maybe
right.
could go
So
complete orbital velocity and then do orbit, or it's just in suborbital trip, because when it's
yeah,
like an
I think
apogee that's pretty low and intercepting the atmosphere, I wouldn't say it's in stable orbit. Like it's sort of orbit-ish, but like for me, complete orbit is and real orbit is when you can orbit the Earth and not when you will.
that's right. So it's hard to define what Starship is actually going to do. I think we just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
But
I'll say it
main
will be suborbital, just like Tim Dot
yeah,
said.
same.
So
So what they're trying to achieve is, of course, bring Starship further. But what are they actually trying to get
re-entry
data on? And
testing the
that is
TPS,
testing.
and of
That's right.
course the booster.
So
Like how do 28 Raptor engines work together, and how do 28
yeah,
Raptor engines hold up?
oh, honestly, I think they don't care about the Raptors because I know that
Like not the Raptors, like the
those
booster.
will
Like how will the
work.
booster system work
Yeah.
with crit fins and boost big burn? Like the
Still, I
whole
think they know
structure, and how
how it
will it hold
works.
up with entry? Maybe they learn,
Yeah.
okay, we will need to do an entry burn. Maybe they will do an entry burn, then they will notice, okay, we don't really need an entry burn, we can do it without them and get more delta V out of it. Like they will learn
Yeah,
a
so
lot
just
of those flights. They will
gathering
learn
experience,
lots, yes, and they will
shots.
also learn. They can improve with a flight because they will learn. And
That's right.
we just got information like yesterday or so. Like there was always a discussion: will Starship SN20 have RVAX, or like Tim Dodd likes to call it, RAPVAX? And it looks like it because we saw the thrust dome of SN20 and it has 3 Raptor engine mounts for vacuum. But what I noticed is that there are no sea level Raptor engine mounts. Like there are not those plumbing
Okay.
things sticking out for the sea level locks. So maybe it will be
Yeah, I
added,
mean,
or a day. What I think could actually be happening is that they just put the sea level Raptors on the RAPVAC mounts to test like the mounting position and what force on the hull at those positions make, and just put the sea level Raptors there.
so
They'll
the
flip with that
document
configuration. It's hard.
doesn't go into detail on the velocity, so we can't figure out what trajectory it's going to take or how fast it's going to go. But so it's really trying just the re-entry, so they need to go near orbital velocity. But do they really need sea level engines if they're not trying to land? I would
I
say
understand
no.
it, like they want to land it, but land it in water. But
It
maybe
clearly says splashdown and the booster is gonna touch down. So what I understand as a splashdown is it'll just belly flop into the ocean.
But I don't know where the sense is. Like, why would they just waste it? Like, I mean, why
but
wouldn't they
then
just try to land it? But of
right,
course, yeah, if it really is the plan, that would make sense that we don't see
because
sea level mounts.
this is as far as I'm understanding the document, and this is my own interpretation, but the booster says touchdown and the ship splashed down.
Yeah,
So
we'll see. We'll see.
as a
Maybe.
touchdown, right? But as a touchdown, I understand that I am imagining that the booster will fly down to the ground and it'll softly touch down on the water and it'll tip over and it'll break. But the ship, they're not trying to do the transition to vertical and landing attempt. I don't think so. Which is why they could they could hold the raptors, the sea level raptors, and only put vacuum raptors on there. This is what I would say,
Yeah,
because they can add.
that could be right as well. But I will see it. I don't feel like the Raptors are RVAX already yet. Because like the last time Elon mentioned RevVax or RVAX, they were like at SN2 testing at McGregor, and like SN1 died. I think it died. I'm not sure, but I think it's a rat. So yeah, I don't know how far they are. That would be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, I think we just have to wait and see and
so yeah,
check out what
Mokochigo
the future
Crane,
holds.
Brightmouth Crane just said as well that it will do a flip and tail down, and soft ocean landing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
We'll
would
just
mean
have to see.
that it will need sea levels, because the RVX, we know it, they can't gimbal, and there's also definitely no space
Yeah,
in
but
the storage for
do
the
they really
RVX.
have to gimbal?
The flip,
I mean,
of
if
course.
they, yeah, for the flip, of course. But if let's
But
pretend that they're
in
not
orbit,
gonna do a flip,
no.
so they don't necessarily need
No,
the
there
gimbal.
they don't need. Yeah, but like for landing, if they really would do like the tail down maneuver, they will definitely need sea levels. So even though if
Right,
the Raptors
right.
could have gimbal mounts, they're just nozzles are too big. They're so close to the end to the skirt. There's no room for them to gimbal. They're on the
Right.
outside and they're big nozzles. There's just no
They're,
room.
they can't. I mean, they could technically
They
gimbal.
could, but they could like gimbal
They-
like 1 degree or so, and that's
Yeah, and they
just.
could
And
gimbal
also, you have to
into
think of it. They're on the
the middle.
they're pretty far out of the rocket and not
Right,
that
right.
inside. So
So
they're heavily
those
slither,
are
and
really
that just makes zero sense for them to gimbal. So that's why also SpaceX
yeah.
better
So they're
to have
just
them fixed.
for engines to have in a vacuum.
Yes, just to
Yeah,
have
so
better
that's the
efficiency.
FCC document pretty much. So
Yeah, I would
I will
say
put a link.
that probably could wrap up our episode. We're recording now for 54 minutes recording.
Sure. I mean,
So yeah,
I could go a little longer, but I don't mind stopping here.
yeah, but like
So
maybe it's a little too detailed, you know.
yeah, we don't have anything to talk about anymore.
Yes, but
So
like I'm really excited for the next episode next week
oh yes.
because I really want to learn more about the Venus mission. I will read a lot about it and write some texts for next episode so we can talk about a lot
Right.
there. And of course we'll have exciting things to talk about as well.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have
So-
more information on the China crew launch, like who will be launching there. That's something we could talk about there as well if we have the
Especially
information
how
until
many
then.
people.
Yes. And like there are
Oh.
exciting times, and we could talk about Beacon 2 testing that will occur in
Yes.
the following days and what happened at Boca Chica, because last week there didn't really happen anything. But we'll have to
Well, we
something to
had
talk.
we had the mounts of the top caps, but
Yeah, but they're
that's
like
really just
like boring.
preparation.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we'll definitely have to something to talk about
Right,
in the
right.
next
So
episode in
next-
Boca Chica,
next
because
week
something
is gonna
happens
be
this
cool.
week. Yes.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Make sure to check out our Twitters. They will be in the description. It's for me, it's at Phillips SpaceX and Marlon. I'm actually not sure.
Marlon
honestly.
underscore
Do you-
midbay.
Right, Marlon underscore midbay. So just check us out. You know, there's the official Weekly Spaceflight Twitter. It's just at Weekly Spacecast. Make
And
sure
of course,
to
check out our YouTube channel.
Right,
we're
subscribe on our
posting-
YouTube channel.
We're hosting almost every launch. Like of course, there's some launch like the NRO 111 launch. You can't host that because we're both in school.
Right.
But we'll host every launch we can, and it's always fun in the stream. So join them, and we'll have a lot of fun. I promise you. And we'll of course, for every launch, I'll edit the like a small recap for launch with some music and the highlight shots, maybe shots that look pretty cool for the launch. So yeah, also for the launches we don't broadcast or don't host. But yeah, make sure to subscribe, and yeah, look forward
Right,
to
so
all the
we're-
recaps that are coming up. And yes,
We're really trying our best to give you the best content possible. So please show your appreciation, and of course, feedback is always
yes, even
nice to see.
even if it's
even
negative
bad
feedback, if you say
feedback.
we always
Right,
want to
because
improve ourselves. So if you say,
Right.
yeah, maybe you could do that better, that wasn't like that, you know, in a podcast, like
maybe change a setting
there
or
are a few
something.
things. Maybe if you say,
please.
okay, the podcast is like it feels too long, it feels
detailed.
boring, like
Yeah,
little
just-
shorter,
just
so it
tell
feels short. Just tell us. Don't feel shy. Just tell us. We always appreciate feedback. If you can do something better, we'll do it better, and we always want to improve. And so yeah, we only can improve with your feedback, but we got a lot of feedback in the last video, so I'm sure you're gonna do
Right.
it. And really, really big thanks for your cool and great feedback and all your support in the last days. Like YouTube channel's now out for 2 days or so, and we already are at 24 subscribers, and we have great feedback on the videos. And we had like in the launch stream 7 viewers at a time, and that's for a
Yeah.
channel that's only 2 days old. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so thank you very much, and we'll
And of
see
course, join on
Oh.
Discord. It's always fun there. We had today.
Right, right.
I was a
We
lot
had
of
a
hours
lot of
here with the
hangout.
community, like with
Yeah.
people, with a lot of different people. It's always pretty fun here. Like share KSP stuff. You know, we know you all play KSP. Like every
Right.
space node plays KSP. So yeah, share your KSP stuff or other stuff. it's just always a fun time to hang out or discuss with other people. It's always a fun time and hear people that understand you and will have fun together.
Right. So, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Now, should we do the joke thing?
I stopped the recording, so but we'll do it for the
Okay.
stream, okay? Like I'll unlist
Okay, yeah, we can
I'll
do
list
that.
the stream again.
the stream.
Like when the episode is released, I'll list the stream again, like with people who want to get background stuff. And so yeah, what was the joke again?
So, let me tell a joke. So, today we hung out with Crane in the Discord, and we had the idea to just tell a joke a very, very terrible joke every time. So, and today's joke was, what is a German's favorite food? Well, it's hamburgers. Yeah. That's it.
Like no, it doesn't even make sense. Thank you. Like
Well,
what's
it's Hamburg, the city, and
hamburgers?
Ers for the food, so yeah.
Yeah, like nah, funny.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. LMFAO. Laughing my ass off. Yeah. Okay.
Alright, so then let's go offline and yeah. So we'll see you at the next live stream, recording, whatever you're gonna attend, and until then,
Thank you for being here. Bye.
thank you for being here and take care.